Well, I appreciate y'all for taking some time to share space with me. This is definitely a blessing, right? So let's just dive in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Peace, everybody. Good evening. I am Mekhihill. For those of you that don't know, I'm the founder of the Better Days Project and also the host of Unfiltered Faith, right? You know, we kicked things off a few weeks ago, and to me, I thought it was just gonna be a one and done situation, right? But for some time, God has really been speaking to me. And I was really not being obedient at that time. And I think the live conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago, it really stuck with me, right? Like I didn't know what that could turn into and the possibilities of it. And kind of just growing up in my upbringing, I realized that I love in-depth spiritual inclined conversations, but it's like a lot of people that I'm around don't really have like having conversations about God, faith, right? And for me, what I noticed was that the one thing that is supposed to keep us connected and grounded is some of the main things that keep us divided as people. Right. And for me, like my faith journey it's not traditional, right? I have a lot of church hurt, church trauma that we're gonna definitely tap into a little bit. And I feel like this is the space to really unpack faith, especially when we talk about mental health. In my own research and just doing work in the community, I realized that faith was also a missing key link to a lot of the problems why we see a lot of people dealing and suffering with anxiety, depression, right? It's because that lack of God as their foundation. So this is what this conversation is a little bit about, right? And I feel like it's very important for us to bring women into this space. And I want to honor you all because you guys both have been very empowering in my journey and reassuring me as just a creative, as an entrepreneur, and has really just helped shape my perspective on life and just my journey recently. So I just want to thank you guys as well, right? I see you. I'm proud of you. You are seen and heard, and you are also doing great work and giving other people the opportunity to be seen and heard. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. So let's kick things off with this. Like, just introduce yourself to the people, let them know your name, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do.
Okay.
How could we? Yeah, we can start with Nicole and we go to Chandler. Like we're doing like that.
Thank you guys. I'm Nicole Glass. I am a full-time realtor. So I'm also in the real estate industry and then part-time content creator. I have built up the page Affirmations for Black Men, which is a mental health space from Black women to Black men to let Black men know that they are loved and appreciated and give them the tools that they need to hopefully, feel a little bit better every single day. So it's a little quick rundown of what I do and who I am, but I'm super excited to be talking to these two amazing people because I really do look up to both of you. I love the content that you do, and you're so loving, like also not just online, but in person as well. So I'm just happy to be here.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Chandler. I'm from New Jersey. I recently moved to Houston because due to this, I'm in the hair business. I also do fitness. I have my page promotes faith and fitness. And yeah, I love fitness. I love beauty. I love wellness. I love mental health.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive into it. So for me, I love starting with upbringings, right? Because I think that kind of helps paint the picture for kind of where you are today in your journey as an adult, as a woman. And I know both of you, heavily grew up in the church, right? Chandler, your father's a pastor. Nicole, your mom is also a pastor. And for me, I don't think like in my upbringing coming up as a child, I was kind of reaffirmed of the gifts that I possessed, right? And I didn't really get that affirmation that I may so needed to know that like, yo, I can conquer whatever it is I may want to go out and do. And I want to ask you guys, like, did you feel reaffirmed in your upbringing, right? Like, were you affirmed of the gifts that you possessed at a young age? And like, maybe how did the church ultimately shape your identity?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say like for me at least is the opposite. Like I feel like when I was in church growing up, like having my mom be a pastor, And then also seeing, like, Mom, I love you, but like my mom was, she's imperfect, she's human, and she contradicts herself as we all do, and like makes mistakes. And so to see that, and then to also see her on the pulpit as well, and then to see, like, our friends and our family members, like I feel like sometimes people will gossip or say certain things. That kind of led me away from the church a little bit. Not a little bit, but a lot, because I was like, man, like I don't really feel like people are like walking the walk,
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
and what they're saying. So it felt like for me, I was just a little bit too close to it. And then so I didn't really start my relationship with God until I started my relationship with God outside of the church, like
Mhm.
prayer, in nature, in gratitude. And that's how I built my relationship. But I'm curious about you, Chandler, how that impacted you.
So growing up in the church, to me, I didn't feel like the PK, the pastor's kid. Like my dad, thank God, he's very authentic. On the pulpit, off the pulpit, he is exactly who he shows you he is. So I think that gave me the space to grow and just be who I am without having to feel like I'm being constantly watched, I'm being judged. I have to act this way. I have to say these things. I have to be this robot in the church because I'm the pastor's kid and I'm the example. I never felt that pressure. I feel like in all churches, you experience people who may not be authentic in their walk. But I feel like for my own upbringing, I got to really see the rawness in you can be who you are and God's gonna love you for that as he guides you into, who he's created you to be. I saw that through my parents and even my siblings. We never like had to conform.
Right.
Yeah, so we were able to just be us 7 days a week. And of course we got that example, and we, my dad, my parents, my mom were to correct us if we're out here drawing, but it was never you are a pastor's kid, you need to be like it was just you're a
So it
child.
wasn't really like forced.
No, it wasn't for.
Gotcha.
They definitely let us develop our own relationship with God, but we got that foundation through just looking at how they carried their relationship with God.
No, okay. So no, I love that because I was raised by some very religious, spiritual women. Like my grandmother is heavy in the church, right? My mom, when she was alive, very spiritual women. Like they possess the gifts of prophecy, all types of things. But for me, I feel like being that it was forced upon me, I didn't really get to explore God in that way at a young age, and it turned me away from the church, right? And even like I would dread it because sometimes it seemed performative. I couldn't really discern what was real or what was not, and it kind of made it hard for me to like, I didn't see it in that light necessarily, right? And ultimately, I think for me being someone that's like, I consider myself cultured, fly, like, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really see that resemblance in the church necessarily, or just people that were disciples of God. I didn't really see that coming up. And it's like, I didn't really see a resemblance of myself within the church or just people in general. I think we're seeing a shift now, though. And I think a lot of people are showing that you can still be your authentic self and still claim to be a servant or a man of God, right? And I think I definitely suffered from some type of church trauma as well. And I didn't get the opportunity to like, so what I noticed was you can't find your identity. I couldn't find my identity within church. I couldn't find it within media or just the things that I was doing, right? And I'm curious to know, like, were there women that you all kind of looked up to, whether it be in the church or just in different spaces, right, where you could kind of like, that looked like you necessarily in that aspect?
Ooh, that's good. That's really good. Chandler, you go.
Say, I feel like, my I have two sisters, and I feel like growing up, like my mom was a good example in just seeing, like I said, that authentic in church, outside of church. But I feel like that what you would call, I guess, like a role model in that space, like I discovered that a little later on through my sister. She is very it was a time I went to stay with her in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very dark season for her, and I got to see her interact with Christ during that, and it strengthened my faith tenfold. Like I never saw someone be authentic, challenge God. Like it was a more so like where my faith was at that time was, go to God and be grateful. Go to God with the ups, like with the downs. I kind of separated myself from God, but I would come and be grateful. But I see her challenge, like, God, no, why is this happening? No, God, I feel like this, and I feel like you weren't here for me in this, and that stretched me. So I feel like,
Can you lean into that a little bit? Because I feel like oftentimes we were taught not to have questions,
yeah,
not to doubt. And I'm like, no, that's a normal thing to do. You're supposed to question that. You're supposed to lean into that feeling.
I agree. I do think that God creates the human mind to be curious, to question, we're dealing with the spiritual realm. So there, just that alone, it's a lot of questions because you are human. You are fully human and God is fully God. So it already creates, I don't want to say a disconnect, but a curiosity of a lot of things you just don't understand. A lot of things is faith, is unseen. So I feel like just from that encounter with my sister, it really it strengthened my relationship with God. Like if you think about it, we are in a relationship with God. A relationship is not always ups. It has its ups, it has its downs, it has its tension, it has its conflict, it has its good times, and that's what God seeks.
Mm.
In a relationship, he doesn't want you to just come and act as if everything's good and you just bowing down, and no, like he wants that heart, he wants that inner part of you. So that requires you to now walk with him through all those emotions. We're not robots, we're not just happy. So we experience depression, we experience letdown, disappointment, all these things. Maybe we wanted this job, didn't get this. Like he wants to do life with us. So how do we do life with him when we only come to him in a form that we think that we should come to him? Like you have to be raw, you have to be authentic, and that's where I feel real real growth happens in relationship with God, when you're ready to let them down those walls and really be authentic.
Love that.
Same thing. I was like, love that. That was so good. Oh my gosh. Like in the darkest moments and you saw someone else who your sister is able to be vulnerable with you about her walk. Like that's so beautiful. I feel like for me, my moment with another woman was like my friend at the time. I was going through something, and then we were long distance friends, and so she was praying over me like through the FaceTime, and that was really the first time that I was really vulnerable with somebody like that, of like what I was going through, like
Yeah.
really like crying and like visibly like upset, and then to see her use the power of prayer, like that did something in me where I just like, it really genuinely did make me feel better. And it was so intimate and so beautiful that someone took the time to talk to God with me and for me.
Yeah.
Like I was like shocked. And I feel like that catapulted me to build a closer relationship.
I love that. I love that. When do you all feel like you kind of came into like your power and your identity as a woman, right? And can you kind of talk about how would you define womanhood? And like, yes, to you all. I think that would be my next question.
I feel like it's a never ending process. I like it's like growth, like the growth never ends. And you're never gonna be this perfect, most powerful version of yourself. Like I think, well, the one thing that I think that really was a pivotal for me in my life was when I started taking accountability for my own actions.
Really good.
everything before that was like, it was okay, but like once I started being like, this isn't that person's fault. Like, no, this isn't, like this is really you. Like you have way more control than you think you do over your reality. Like you maybe and the people that you interact with and the spaces that you occupy, the things that you say. And then once I started taking accountability for my own walk, that's when I started to become a more powerful version of myself.
That's really, really, really.
That I think oftentimes that accountability piece is missing from just individuals, relationships, especially like I think there's so much tension right now between men and women. Like it's so much controversy, so much competition, and it's like it shouldn't be like that, And I think oftentimes the root of it is that accountability piece that you just mentioned.
Yes, yes, because it's victimhood, mentality sometimes with us in relationships and friendships. Like they did that to me. They're such an evil person. This and that. It's like okay, everybody's hurting, and everybody is hurting themselves and hurting other people and projecting. So how do we ourselves like navigate, with God, and if God literally has like guidelines for how to navigate it, in love and in respect. And a lot of us in the modern world, like, we have a hard time following those guidelines, and then so when you do get hurt, it's like, oh well, was I leading in what
Right.
I was supposed to be doing? Maybe not. Okay, let me move back over here, so that's kind of how I think of it, is like to take control of like my own narrative.
That's really good. I would say, oh, that's really, really good. I'll say, operating in less ego. I feel like the more humble you are, the more you are to your true self. This is paraphrasing, but God says in the Bible, like once you die to yourself, you start to live. So I feel like a lot of times we are so consumed with ourselves. And in Psalms, it says our life is vast, meaning like our life is literally of a blink of an eye compared to what God has for us, what our mission is really to live for Christ than to be worried about what can I have, what can I have, what can I have. So I feel like the laying down of ego and also believing in myself, I feel like really, really gave me power when I believe that nothing is outside of limits. And I am a human, so of course I have limits, but when I really like took that step in faith with Christ and really started to believe like, no, I can do all things through Christ and realize that he's limitless, I really I feel like that gave me more of identity, because I feel like there was a season where I always operated out of a lack of something, a lack of something. So when I really just shift that mentality and believed in myself and didn't allow that belief to create this false ego, this false sense of, oh, I'm this, I deserve this, I deserve this. And yeah, just being humble and being faithful, I feel like makes a powerful woman.
I think that humility aspect of it too, right? And it like kind of goes hand in hand with like you being able to know that, listen, I can't do all things by myself. Like I need this extra source, that crutch that you can lean on. And I want to talk more about that confidence aspect that you mentioned a little bit, and kind of like how that shows up for you. Like how were you able to kind of build that up as well during those seasons of your life?
Oh, well, what about you? When
What
did you
about
most powerful?
What makes you a powerful
which
man?
yeah, this definitely could be Free Floyd. What are you asking? Say that again.
Your question to us was like, when did we feel like our most like powerful? I think, like what was that pivot? What was that shift? So I want to kind of pivot that question to you. Was there like a moment in your life where you were like, okay, this is really what shifted for me?
I'm not gonna lie, that is a great question that I asked you all. That I definitely, for me, I think it was COVID, right? Like during the pandemic, where you really had that time to sit with yourself, sit in solitude, and you couldn't run to most things that you would necessarily to hide, that would suppress the things that would feed your ego necessarily. So it's kind of similar to what Chandler's point was like, yo, I really had to die to my ego. I had to die to my past self and be reborn again, right? Ultimately. And I think knowing that I'm here for a purpose, on purpose, has really given me the confidence that I've needed to walk in my light and step into that boldly, because I believe that by me walking in my light, I'm giving people I'm giving others the opportunity to do the exact same.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of what I would say to that one. And I appreciate you for challenging me on that as well.
Of course.
Um, yeah, no. I want to kind of come back to something that you said too, Nicole, because you talked about, you know, what we're seeing now in like modern culture a little bit with men and women. And I think it's rooted and goes all the way back to what we see, for me, patriarchy, and we see feminism, right? And I think a lot of people get that misconstrued what these ideologies actually are. And I think they kind of twist it for self benefit and self gain, right? For me, both of those are kind of like, for men on the patriarchy side, is you're showing self love and showing the power that you do possess as a man. And feminism is the same thing, right? It's you showing self love for yourself and the power that you possess as a woman. And I'm a huge Bell Hooks fan. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but she's one of my favorite authors, favorite writers. And Bell Hooks defines feminism as ending systems of oppression. And society sometimes sees feminism as anti-man. And I think there's a lot of what we're seeing now in society is spiritual people competing for like spiritual rank almost, right? It's like a lot of back and forth. Men ain't this, women ain't that. And I'm tired of it because we need each other, right? I need you, you need me. And I'm just curious, I would love to hear you guys' perspective on like, how do you guys feel about what's going on in the culture? And as a man, you know, how can I do better, right? You know, I do think that what we're seeing and how we see women acting in the media is a result of some of the things that men are doing. And I can admit I'm a victim to that too in some cases, you know what I'm saying? But how can we do better in that sense? I would love to kind of just pick your guys' brain and hear your perspective on that and some of the things that you guys are seeing, and maybe how can we move forward as a culture and come together.
Chandler, I'm gonna let you go.
I'm gonna say the first thing I think that popped in my head was, I think with a lot of the competition or the men ain't this, woman ain't this is due to you carrying hurt and not releasing things that pained you. Like, yes, this male, this female may have done X, Y, and Z, but does that now discredit every man or every woman that walks this earth? I think that a lot of people is carrying hurt, carrying pride. I think a lot of people may not even know how to release the things that once, you know, really caused them trauma. Like, how do I get over this? How do I release it? That a lot of mental health is tied into this battle where we feel like we have to compete, or we feel like we have to conform or be this way. We have to be this type of girl, this type of man to have a woman or to have a man. Like, I feel like there is a lack in identity and a lack in releasing pain, because I think a lot of people are, I feel like, for example, women may view like, dang, I'm a good girl, and it seems that all the women who just, you know, want to take advantage and want money, like, they seem to be the women that's getting everything from a man. Or a man may feel like, dang, there is a limited amount of good women. Every woman that I go for just wants me for X, Y, and Z. I think that Like, don't write off everyone based off of, like, God gives clear signs. If it doesn't work, that was your blessing.
Mm-hmm.
That was your blessing. That doesn't mean that now you have to change your heart, change you being a good person, change your perspective to now shift to conform to a bunch of hurt that people is just dumping in the community.
It's a lot of hardened hearts out here.
It's a
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree. I feel like also like insecurity as well. It, you know, really pollutes the dating pool. And then you said something about like purpose. Like a lot of people who don't know what their purpose is will put their purpose into being in a relationship, you know, and so if you're, it's almost like you're like kind of a little bit lost there. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of different things combined. And then I think people look up to social media influencers online and look up to all of these like fake relationships. I don't want to say fake, but like you're only getting like
expectations.
yeah, like you're putting this on a pedestal as, and then trying to copy it or trying to copy these people, you know, that you don't know. And so it's just so much coming at us. But I guess like for me in my experience, what I've like told myself, like I give myself affirmations, like I do affirmations for Black men, but I be affirming myself, you know.
Gotcha.
You in the mirror, you know, you got to like just lift yourself up. And I just be telling myself, like, listen, like, you know, I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly trying to improve and become my best self for myself and for my family and live with purpose. And as long as to like refine that, like I will find someone who's on that same wave, you know, who values like what I have to give and I'll value what they have to give. And whoever's not in alignment with that, I don't take it personally and like write off all men. You know, like I don't want just any random man to be in alignment with me. Like God has something special for me. So it's not gonna it's, you know, if when someone like communicates to me that they're not that person, it's I feel like sometimes we as women can have like this attachment towards this like one thing because we liked this person, or even a man, you know, oh man, I had this connection, I had this spark. But it's like, hey, like, isn't it beautiful that you can filter out all of these people and you're only meant for that one person? You know, you're trying to have this attachment towards this person and that's not your person, and you're getting frustrated because you want them to be something they're not, you know. And sometimes we try to make someone fit and they don't fit.
Fit the mold.
Yeah, that's accountability, right? Like I really like try to do my best to take accountability for my experience and be okay with like letting people do what they would rather do.
Have you have you both felt like you've ran into men that feel insecure about the your light? Like have wanted you to kind of dim your light a little bit?
Yeah.
Can you keep like let's talk about that a little bit. I want to unpack that because I hear that a lot, right? Like overly ambitious women, women that are kind of just bosses doing a thing. Like a lot of men are intimidated by that. Like I would love to know like how that has been maybe has shown up in your life as well.
I think for me it's just been more of like some men don't feel comfortable that I've dated in the past with settling down with me in a serious way until that they can like one up me. Like, oh, like because I'm doing so much, like I'm a landlord, like I'm a realtor, and I have like this content stuff that I'm doing. So sometimes my presence can make someone else feel like they're behind. And because they feel like they're behind because I'm so ahead, they don't feel like they're ready until they can be on that one up. So I'm like, but for me, I don't care. Like, you know, like,
I feel like that could cause some type of like envy and resentment almost too.
yeah. And it's also like everything's a stock. Like, I think of it as a stock market. Like, sometimes you're going to be up, sometimes I'm going to be up. Like, sometimes we both can be up. One of us going to be down. It doesn't really matter, but it has mattered in the past to some people that I've dated. Yeah.
That's good. I feel like a relationship in my younger years, I feel like it it was just a lack of identity and also bringing in baggage. I feel like it was just constant comparing to who he was once with, because now I have to be this way because when I was this way, when I was with her, she did this. So now I like that part of me is closed off. Like it was a constant comparing to hurt, to trauma, which brings me back to the whole point of knowing when to release, release that trauma for your own identity. And I can agree, like I feel like when you are a productive person and you have purpose and you have anointing and you have light and you're walking in your calling, it can be intimidating for people who are not doing the same.
Doing the same. Yeah.
And instead of,
Yeah.
looking at your light, and like in Matthews, it says that you walking, paraphrasing, you walking in your light will basically bring people to God's glory. They can see God through you. So instead of being attracted to my light and maybe being curious about my light and seeing how that can reflect in your own
Right.
way, it made you intimidated and it made you feel small when, it's room for everybody to win.
Nah, that's so real because I think I had a personal situation like that too with just my ex from a couple of years ago. Like, I've always been this overly ambitious person. Like I've always been a go-getter, going after the things that I want. And some people feel small or shrink themselves to that. And it's like, dang, this one person that I'm trying to go to for support is the one that's low-key hating on me. And it's crazy.
It's like it's draining too at the same time, because there's other things that you provide that I don't, that I value. Like
Exactly.
we saw something in each other, we didn't have to be like that.
And I think that's kind of on that like equally yoked, right? You know what I'm saying? And really taking that serious. And I'm think now where I'm at in life, I'm really starting to understand what that actually means.
Mm.
Because like before, I had no idea, but I think it's things have been a lot more clear, and I've been trying to walk in that. And I think, like you were mentioning, Nicole, like that alignment, right? And I think it coincides with so much, like being aware of your people, places, and things. And if that doesn't align with your purpose and your calling, it's just ultimately not going to work at all.
Exactly. Wait, what did you say? You said something. You were like equally yoked. So what does equally yoked mean to you? I'm curious.
To me, I think we're both on our journey of trying to achieve and be our best selves. All right. Like, I think it's being obedient to the call, being obedient to God, and we're both walking in that. Your light shines just as bright as mine, and embracing that, not trying to look down on you, but no, I'm here to speak life into you. And I would hope the same for me, So I think that's kind of how I view it as well. But how would you guys view that?
Your answer.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll go with that then.
Looking at me.
Okay, cool. So I think, as I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, faith is often left out of the mental health conversation, right? So I'm curious. For me, especially like coming up, I think I was always told if I was going through something, just pray about it, right? And I think although that is true, there's also another side to that people don't mention and they don't really talk about is the work and the action part of it, right? Like, yeah, I can pray, but there are still preventative and proactive measures that I could be taking to help better my mental health. But would be curious to know, like, how has faith kind of influenced your mental health journey?
I think for me, gratitude has been really good. I liked what Chandler was saying earlier, though. She's like, don't just bring the goodness to the Lord, like, bring everything. You're so right on that. But I would say recently, like within the past year, when I was praying to God, I used to be like, "Oh, man, like, why me?" And then I saw this meme that was like, it was a picture of God and he was like holding his arms up. And it was all of these things like stones being thrown at this one person. And then maybe one stone got by, but was blocking like 1,000 other stones. And then it made me start realizing like how many things is going right in my life that I don't appreciate or I don't thank God for, that if something were to happen, like with my health or with my sight or walking or not being able to have food in the fridge or drinking fresh water or a family member being ill or me not being able to mentally comprehend things or communicate with other people or taste things or commute or travel, like there's so many things that are going right in my life that I started every single day now. I live by the river. I like walk by the river and I start thanking God for all the things that I constantly take for granted, and that has like dramatically improved my mental health. And I realized like there was no practice like in my household, there was no gratitude practice. um and so, but there was a complaining practice. You know, so that was like I had to like unlearn that. That was like a childhood development thing. And also I think with our community and community, we're like all catching up, like our families with like generational wealth. Like I grew up with like a single mother who had to kind of carry so much, so she had so much to worry about, plus she was a pastor, so other people's stress, so she was managing like her stress and then 100 other people's stress who would call her about like all of these terrible things. And so like I have had to create this bubble like within my own life where I'm communicating to God, and it's gotten so deep, like point where I would start crying. I'm like, oh my God, like, thank you.
You
Thank you.
unlocked another level.
Yes. Yes. So that's really has changed everything for me.
Love that.
I'll say recently I've really been studying what it is to lament. So it's very deep sorrow. It's not just sadness, it's not depression, it's just like your lowest low. And with that, you still acknowledge it doesn't change who God is. So I feel like in previous seasons when I was under, I was like, dang, if I'm so loved by God, like, why would He allow X, Y, and Z? Like, I think that's crazy. So it shifted. I allowed my circumstances to shift my faith. So once I started really studying lament, which is those things, two things coexisting at once. I can feel this way. God gave me human emotions. I can feel this way, but God can still be good and God can still be faithful. So right now I'm reading Psalms, and Psalms is all about the human experience. David is going through. If you read the different chapters, I see myself so much into it, because in one chapter he's just like, God help me, it feels like you're far from me, like dang, you don't want to help me, X, Y, and Z. And then a next chapter he's like, God, you're so faithful, thank you for coming through. And then the next chapter he's again questioning his circumstances, but he keeps ending it in, but God, you are still faithful, your love still doesn't fail, you still have a covenant to me. So I feel like my mental health really improved when I changed my perspective on storms and changed my perspective on trials. And God says in the word that like everyone gets tested, everyone has trials, and that these are things to strengthen your faith and strengthen your endurance. So I feel like once I stop allowing circumstances to actually break me versus being honest, like, dang, I feel weak, but God is my strength. So actually using my faith in those times really just change the game for me.
Yo, I love that. I think you make a great point. Like, there's always blessings in the midst of the chaos. And I think that's something that I've been trying to like just change my perspective when I'm going through things. Like, not looking at it as a negative, because I think that's the easiest thing to do. Like, why me? Right? Why am I going through these things? Instead of looking at it like, yo, what can I learn from this journey? How can I use it to bring me closer to God? Right? How can I use it to bring me closer to self and cut out things that may not be conducive to my growth as a human being? And I really love that. And I think like for me, when I was very disconnected from God, I understood that I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't walking in purpose, right? And I think that was the whole kill for me. And my mental health got better when I started to create and start to really embrace that in my like day to day. Because for me, to be a creator means to be one who is obedient to God. So that has really helped my mental health when I have that ability to freely create, freely do the things that bring me joy. And I think that's missing from a lot of people, right? Is that purpose aspect like we talked about. That is to me, I see mental health as a tool, right? To really let one know if they're in alignment with God, if they're in alignment with their purpose. And when you get out of alignment, that's when the mental health struggles start to arise and you start to see them a lot more. So I really appreciate that, your perspective on that, because that was spot on.
Add one thing. I really started changing my perspective on the no's and the closed doors. Like, I feel like when things don't go how you think that they should go, it is devastating. Especially, like, you have your hopes in this, you have your, and I started thanking God for the no's and the closed doors, because he always, literally always has something greater. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, I applied to this job at the gym. And I love fitness. Like, I really wanted the job. I'm like, I'm qualified for this job. Like, let's go get it. Had the interview, felt like it went great. They decided to go with someone else over me. And boy, was I offended. Like, genuinely. I was hurt. Like, dang. Like, I was mad. I was very mad. And I'm like, dang, God, I was working at a job that was no longer keeping me fulfilled at the time. So I was really excited to apply to something that was in alignment to my passion. So I was very upset when that door closed. But how God does is always has something greater. End up getting a job that really changed my whole life, moved me all the way across the country, and just blessed me. So I feel like God wants to see, oh, are you still faithful to me? Do you still believe all the things about me when that no comes? When that door closes, do you still believe that I'm this good God who never fails? So I feel like even blessing him for the no's and blessing him for the circumstances that you may not feel is the best, but he brings the best out of the worst. So
Mm. I,
that
how do you guys kind of keep that faithfulness though? Like in those times where it's like, yo, I don't know what's going on. Like, what is it that like keeps you guys faithful in those situations? I would say.
being in my word, and it's a choice. It's a choice to believe.
Mhm.
So I'll read my word. I'll It's important to, be in your word, to worship and to pray. So my prayers will reflect honesty. God, I'm feeling anxious, but your word says be anxious for nothing, but pray about it. So here I am. And God still, like, he gave you emotion. So people think just because I pray to not be anxious, I'm supposed to not be anxious. No, like,
Right, that's a human thing. Like he gave us
it's a
the
human.
ability to feel.
He doesn't feel like, oh, you don't believe because after you pray, you're still anxious. Like, he doesn't feel that way. And I would intentionally choose scriptures and intentionally choose worship music that spoke over my situation. So I would read it and listen to it so much until it became a belief. Because
You
let's
have
be
to like
we
get it
don't
in your
see,
subconscious.
yeah, when our circumstances don't match up with where our faith should be, it gets shaky. And it's just like, okay, it's a choice to believe what I'm hearing. Even if I don't believe it in that moment, I'm going to keep showing, okay, tomorrow I'm going to read it again. And I'm going to listen to it again until it becomes a revelation and something that I believe. So I think it's just showing up even with, like, not being a slave to your feelings. Like, feelings and faith is not two of the same things. And taking those feelings to God in faith that he will change the outcome. He will change those feelings. But and I really want to emphasize that God really honors how you feel. He does not minimize how you feel. He validates. If you feel anxious in this season, if you feel disappointed in this season, X, Y, and Z, he honors that. That's how good he is. But it doesn't change how good he is. So I think really just leaning in and showing up and not allowing your feelings to make you feel small. Like, no, keep doing it.
I
Yeah.
love that. Don't be a slave to your feelings. That was a bar. Yeah, I'm here for it.
I feel like I don't know when I'm like in a really dark space, I don't like think to myself or like blame God, because I've had moments where all I've had was God, and like so it's like when you've had that moment and like you were really got really low, like felt really like alone, God was the only presence there for me and the only thing that I could hold on to. So I think because I've had those experiences, like my dad died when I was 11 years old, and I was like raised in like a white majority environment in boarding school from like 13. So I had to like look at myself through like racist lens of like adults. And so like I couldn't, like, my self-concept like couldn't be developed outside of me like for so many years. So like I had to develop like a really deep relationship with God in those spaces, and I've always felt like so carried throughout that I don't know, I just like I got into a space where I didn't think that he wasn't there for me, so I always have felt covered.
I love that, girl. There
Yeah.
were times I'm like, God, where are you at, bro? Like, stressing.
No, I think you guys' faithfulness is a true testament to how God is working and moving in your life, and that's a beautiful thing. Especially why I wanted to bring both of you onto the platform just to have the conversation, because I think women bring balance to the world. They brought balance to my life. They bring balance to the workplace. And I'm curious to know, how do you all practice like balance and use the term soft life? Like, how do you give yourself permission to be soft? Because as overly ambitious professionals, you both are multidimensional, multi-talented, doing great things. So like, how do you guys kind of just take some time to be you and without the work? And like, how does that look for you guys?
I guess for me, I like to magnify the small moments. So like I sometimes feel like we can like look to the future, look at the big moments as like the happiest moments of our lives, but I like to be present. And so whether it's like if I'm cooking, like I'll put on my record player and like I have like LED, like little LED sparkly lights. You know what I mean? And I'll magnify like the smallest mundane moment that I'm experiencing it, and I'll feel like I'm in like a movie or something. Like, or if I'm like walking down the river with my dog and I'm just being super present in like the everyday mundane things, and appreciating those moments. Like, oh my God, like we're all so young, we have peace and quiet. Like that's a gift a lot of people don't have. And so if we just like staying present and breathing, being there, like in and like elevating your moment has really kept me very balanced.
I love that. I will piggyback off that. I'm really big on self-care. So even I'm gonna just set the mood. I'm gonna set the tone. Like if I'm in the shower, I play I really love soothing jazz music. So I'll play things that allow me to focus on my breathing. Like now I'm in the moment. When I'm laying down in my bed, I have this nice little stars light. Like I'm setting the mood. I got the candle on. Like just like you said, appreciating the little moments. And I would say also leaning into my hobbies. I always make time to do something that I enjoy. I always make time to do something that I'm passionate in. And yeah, it's important to outside of because your passion or something just yeah, your passion and your assignment may be
Different.
too different on
Yeah.
in the season that you're in. So prioritizing, making sure you're getting done the things that you need to get done, but also prioritizing the things that also add to the elements of who you are. Like my dad said the other day to me, like, hey, have you been in your routine? Like he'll know when I'm off because I do certain things that literally build into the essence of who I am. And if I'm not practicing those things, I'm off. I'm just a little off wired. So he's like, oh, what's the last time you've been in the gym? Okay, well, what you eat today? Because he's not concerned on, oh, what you eat? No, he wants to know, oh, when's the last healthy meal? Okay, oh, that's why you're feeling unbalanced. So like really making sure that I'm prioritizing the things that make me feel good and the things that are going to benefit me, like healthy eating, like exercising, taking a walk, getting some sunlight, taking a moment to breathe.
So those things that you just mentioned, and I think it kind of connects to Nicole's point of the mundane. Those things that you just kind of mentioned about getting outside, getting sunlight, meditating, taking some time to breathe. God is in those little moments that we just sometimes ignore and don't realize. So I'm glad that you brought that up because that was just so powerful and it really resonated with me. So to close this out, what advice would you give to those that are feeling disconnected from their faith at the moment?
Oof. I mean, everyone who has a close relationship with God has had moments where God was not, didn't feel the presence, you know? So, like, even us sitting here, I'm sure all of us have had moments in our lives where we felt disconnected as well. You know, like, not everybody's walk is perfect. And I would say for me, like, what really solidified my walk with God is like, you can talk, you don't have, there's no like direct way to talk to God. Talk to God like a normal, like you normally would. Like, it's not that deep. It doesn't have to be like this orchestrated thing. And I'll ask God to reveal things to you as well. Like that's also something that happens with me very frequently. I'll ask God like, hey, like I'm not sure about this person. You know, if you could, like, what do you think? Like, if you could just let me know if this person is supposed to be in my life, or and if they're not, you could just take them away. Yeah, it's within 48 hours.
Yo, yeah, it's crazy.
quickly.
But I feel like within that too, we question that. Like, yo, what? Not this person.
Not
Not
that.
that.
It's like the quickest prayer that God loves to answer.
Like, why?
It is so like, oh man, you was right, and I've still be getting upset, but it's okay. Like it's not a perfect relationship like with anything else, you know, and it's gonna get deeper and deeper. So like the way that you feel now, if you don't feel close, like communicate, talk to God, start like asking God for signs, and you'll see that God is there. Even when I was on my run the other day, I was like, God, if you're here, like show me a bird. Bird flew right up to me. Like stuff like that is so magical, and I can't imagine a life without feeling that presence in my life and knowing that he's there. It's abundant. It's abundant over here, and I welcome anyone who wants to feel the source, because God is love and he's a source of infinite loving energy. And perfect energy, honestly, like, and then once you feel that, you're going to stop you're feeding for it in other people, and you're constantly being disappointed because no one's perfect. And so that love that you're seeking is really, God has it and it's for you. So that would be my advice.
I have a two-part answer to that question. I will say something that came to my mind as you were talking was, I remember this pastor had said, because I used to be like, sometimes I'm at church and it's praise and worship, and it's just like, dang, I'm a little disassociated because I'm not feeling that spark. Like, and a pastor said, like, are you worshiping God to worship God, or are you worshiping God for your feelings, to feel something? So that stretched me to always just show up in my faith, no matter, like, I think sometimes we expect to feel this big grand, and God is big like that. He can really carry it like that. But I think sometimes in the seasons where you feel like, oh, is God there? Or like, I think that you have to just be grounded in his word. He says that he never leaves or forsakes you. And sometimes it's not for us to feel this big magical thing. Sometimes it's just to stay faithful and to wait for God. And the last part of that I want to say is, I'm gonna set you up real quick just so I can. So it is in Jeremiah 31. So the story, I'm gonna just summarize it. It's called, this passage is called Lament Turn to Joy, which again, lament is like real deep sorrow. So this woman, basically her kids got taken from her, and she's praying to God like, my kids are in enemy land. Like, God, I need my kids. Or can you bring my kids back? So God's just like, there's hope for your future. Like, I hear you. I see your tears. Like, keep your tears from rolling. Keep your voice from breaking. Like, I got you. I'm gonna bring your kids back. And then she goes on to thank him, but she goes to say, like, God, I'm full of regret. Like, in my notes, it says, after living a crazy life in sin, I'm trying to repent. I feel ashamed of my past, my wild and unruly past. So she gets, will I ever live this down? So I feel like there's a lot of times where we're so stuck in shame that it affects our faith. You may feel like, dang, I could be doing more in my faith. And it makes you feel like, I don't want to go to God out of shame. I don't want to go to God out of this. But his answer to her saying like, will I ever live this down? Like, I'm so full of shame. I'm so X, Y, and Z. His answer is, my child in whom I take pleasure in. Every time I mention your name, my heart bursts in longing for you. Everything in me cries out for you. I'll wait for you. So he didn't even acknowledge her saying, I'm this, my past, my trauma, my this, my that. He greeted her in the child who I love. I'm waiting for you. Like, your name is written on my heart. I long for you. I seek you. Like, I see you, and I take so much delight in you. Like, he says, how long will you stay here and have little faith, daughter? Like, so that's just to anyone on their journey. Don't let anything keep you from God. It's no mistake that you can make. It's no cycle that you're in that is too big for God. God's not disappointed in you because he's not surprised by you. He knows everything. So God is waiting for you with open arms, taking pleasure in exactly who you are right now in this moment. He'll meet you where you at, and he loved you. So that would be my answer to that. Stay faithful. Like, realize that God actually, like, you know, a lot of times we read scripture like, okay, God loves us. God's love is faithful. And sometimes we don't embrace that. But like, I started to really dissect and study God's love. Like, dang, my child in whom I take great pleasure, who brings me great delight. Like, dang, God's really feeling the kid. Like, he got to make you feel good. So, you know, go back to God. Don't let nothing keep you from your faith.
Man, that was beautiful. that was that was beautiful. That was, nah, for real. That hit. I just want to say thank you both for
Thank you.
joining.
Invite.
Yeah, let the people know where they can find you, stay connected with you at.
Yeah, you
Yes.
guys can find me at Nicole J Glass. That is my personal page, and my content page for mental health for Black men is at Affirmations for Black Men if you need some daily inspiration.
We love that. My faith and fitness page is my_channel. That is 2 N's, not Chanel. And I do have a beauty page, classy_chan, if any girls want to see a little beauty tips and anything. So
Yeah.
um
Y'all go tap in. This was healing for me. Like, I hope the viewers were able to see God within you, Chandler, God within you, Nicole, and God within me as well, because he shows up in so many different places and so many different ways. And that's my whole mission with Unfiltered Faith, right? And that's what that looks like. So this was an amazing conversation. I really appreciate y'all for sharing space. If you're new here, make sure you give us a follow. Make sure you give
I
us a
know.
subscribe on YouTube. All good things, man, because we have a lot more in store, and I appreciate y'all. So thank you.
Appreciate you. Bye,
Peace.
guys.
Peace.
See ya.